7 signs you are a woman favored by Allah. A woman favored by Allah is not necessarily the one with the loudest voice, the greatest influence, or the most visible achievements. She is the one whose heart is wrapped in faith, even when the world tries to unravel it. She is the one who, when darkness surrounds her, still sees the light of her Lord guiding her forward. She may walk quietly among people, but in the heavens her name is known, and the angels pray for her. Her journey is not without storms, but her sails are lifted by trust in Allah, and every wave that crashes against her only draws her nearer to the shore of His mercy. To be favored by Allah is a gift beyond measure. It is not always announced with miracles or material blessings. Sometimes it is the silent protection from harm that was never seen, the unseen removal of obstacles, and the quiet placing of the right people in her path. A woman favored by Allah may find herself saved from a decision she once thought was good for her, only to realize later that Allah was shielding her from heartbreak, loss, or regret. She may cry over a closed door, only to discover that behind it was a path that would have led her away from Him. Her heart is a sanctuary for remembrance. When others find joy in gatherings that distract them from their Lord, she finds her deepest comfort in whispering His name in the stillness of the night. The world may tempt her with glitter, applause, and validation, but she knows that the sweetness of faith outweighs the fleeting taste of worldly praise. She feels an unshakable peace in her soul when she remembers Allah, for her connection with Him is not seasonal or circumstantial. It is constant, like the heartbeat that sustains her life. A woman favored by Allah often finds that her trials become her teachers. When the world sees misfortune, she sees a divine invitation. A loss in her life becomes a door to patience. A delay becomes a lesson in trust. And a hardship becomes a bridge to sincere supplication. People may pity her for her struggles, but she knows that those struggles are polishing her soul and raising her rank in ways that comfort and ease could never do. She understands that sometimes Allah withholds in order to give more. Sometimes He delays in order to grant better, and sometimes He breaks a heart only to rebuild it stronger, softer, and closer to Him. Her sustenance comes in ways that cannot be explained. When her means seem limited, blessings still flow. A little food feeds many, a small income covers much, and unexpected help arrives just when it is needed most. She is not anxious over what she cannot control, because she believes deeply in the words, "And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out and provide for him from where he does not expect." Another sign of her being favored is that Allah steers her life away from harm she may never even recognize. The removal of certain friendships, the ending of certain opportunities, and the sudden disinterest in once appealing environments are all forms of divine protection. She does not always understand them in the moment, but with time she realizes that Allah was safeguarding her iman by keeping her away from places and people that would have eroded it. Even heartbreaks that once felt unbearable turn into gratitude when she sees how they saved her from a lifetime of regret. Her dua holds a special place in her life. She calls upon Allah with a heart full of certainty that He hears, and while she does not always get what she asks for in the way she imagines, she receives something better, sometimes in this life, sometimes in the next. She has seen enough of His mercy to know that unanswered prayers are not neglect but wisdom. She can look back and see that the no's she received were in fact yeses to things far better than she could have planned. This trust transforms her relationship with Allah. She does not measure His love by how much she gets, but by how much she is guided. A woman favored by Allah also possesses a special type of resilience. She may bend under pressure, but she does not break. When others give up, she gets up. She finds her strength in her sujood, pouring out her fears, her dreams, and her pain to the one who controls the heavens and the earth. She knows that no matter how loud the voices of doubt become, the whisper of faith in her heart is enough to drown them out. She faces the world with a calmness that comes from knowing that nothing happens except by Allah's will, and nothing is lost if it was meant for her. Her character reflects her faith. She speaks with kindness even when provoked, forgives when she has the power to retaliate, and chooses honesty even when falsehood would be easier. Her dignity is not dependent on how she is treated by others, because she knows her worth comes from Allah, not from people's opinions. She is patient with those around her, understanding that everyone is on their own journey, and she prays not only for herself but for others to find guidance and peace. She does not measure her value by worldly standards. The world may applaud beauty, wealth, and status, but she knows these are temporary. What matters most is the purity of the heart, the sincerity of worship, and the love of Allah. She invests in her hereafter with more determination than she invests in her worldly success, because she understands that the true life is the life to come. She does not feel inferior for lacking what others flaunt, because she knows that the treasures of this world are nothing compared to the eternal rewards awaiting the faithful. Even in moments of solitude, she is never truly alone. The angels accompany her in her remembrance, and Allah's mercy surrounds her. Her tears in the dark are not signs of weakness, but of intimacy with her Lord. When she raises her hands in supplication, the heavens pay attention. She believes in Allah's promise that He is near, and that belief transforms every difficulty into an opportunity to draw closer to Him. Being favored by Allah is not about being perfect. It is about being sincere. This woman may stumble, but she always returns. She may fall into sin, but she rushes to repent. She may feel moments of weakness, but she never surrenders her faith. Her favor lies not in never being tested, but in never being abandoned by her Lord during the test. Allah places in her heart a light that no hardship can extinguish, a hope that no disappointment can destroy, and a love for Him that no temptation can steal. She walks through life with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing her steps are guided. Whether she is in a season of joy or a season of pain, she knows both are gifts, both are opportunities, and both are part of her journey to Allah. Every chapter of her life, whether sweet or bitter, is written with divine wisdom. And as long as her Lord is pleased with her, she considers herself the most fortunate of women. Her favor is not something she boasts about. It is something she protects. She does not seek to be envied, but to inspire. She does not demand recognition from people, but praise for acceptance from Allah. Her life may seem ordinary to the world, but in the sight of Allah, it is extraordinary. And when her time in this world comes to an end, she will leave not with the applause of people, but with the eternal reward of the one whose favor she cherished above all else. There is a unique stillness that settles in the heart when the tongue engages in the remembrance of Allah. A stillness that no amount of wealth, status, or worldly pleasure can replicate. It is as if the heart, which has been wandering restlessly in search of contentment, finally returns home. In the moments of dhikr, the chaos of life begins to fade into the background, and what remains is the sweet awareness that the Lord of the worlds is listening. The heart becomes light, free from the heavy chains of worry, anxiety, and regret. It is not simply the repetition of words, but the sincerity behind them that brings this tranquility. When a woman sits in solitude, her lips softly uttering the praises of her Creator, every bead on her tasbih feels like a key unlocking the doors of inner peace. The noise of the world, the deadlines, the demands, the voices of criticism, slowly dissolves, and she is left in the safe embrace of divine remembrance. Even in the busiest of days, when responsibilities pull her in every direction, she finds herself carving out small moments for this sacred connection. Whether she is cooking, walking, or sitting in a crowded room, her heart can remain engaged with Allah, and that connection shields her from the wear and tear of daily life. When she whispers Subhanallah as she witnesses the beauty of a sunset, when she says Alhamdulillah upon tasting food, when she says Allahu Akbar at the sight of a mountain's grandeur, these are not casual phrases, but bridges between her soul and her Lord. This remembrance transforms ordinary moments into acts of worship, filling her life with meaning and depth. The peace that comes with dhikr is not fragile. It does not depend on whether life is easy or hard. In fact, during hardships, it grows stronger. When her heart aches from loss, when her eyes fill with tears, she turns to her Lord not with complaints, but with the words that affirm His greatness and her trust in Him. These words are like medicine that soothes her pain and gives her the strength to keep walking even when the road feels endless. The world may expect her to crumble under pressure, but she stands because her heart is anchored to something eternal. She understands that the human heart was never designed to find complete satisfaction in people, possessions, or accomplishments. It was created to be filled with the remembrance of the one who made it. Without that remembrance, it feels empty no matter what it gains. With it, even in moments of poverty, illness, or solitude, the heart feels whole. This peace is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, steady, and unshakable, like a calm sea beneath a clear sky. It allows her to move through life without being consumed by its turbulence, for she carries within her a sanctuary that no one can enter except the one she remembers. There are moments in life when a person walks away from a path without fully understanding why, only to realize much later that it was a form of divine protection. A woman favored by Allah experiences this in ways she may never be able to count. Sometimes a plan she was certain would work falls apart unexpectedly, leaving her confused and even hurt in the moment. But the unseen reality is that Allah was shielding her from harm she could not see. There are dangers, betrayals, and tests that never reach her doorstep because they are intercepted by His mercy before they can touch her. The people who never enter her life, the opportunities that slip away, the sudden change of heart about a decision, these are not coincidences, but threads in a divine tapestry of protection. Often this protection is subtle, so subtle that it may even be mistaken for disappointment. A job she applied for might be given to someone else, not because she was unworthy, but because the environment could have poisoned her values. A friendship may fade, not because she failed as a companion, but because the other person could have led her into harm. A proposal may be declined, not because she lacked worth, but because Allah saw what her eyes could not see, the heartbreak, instability, or faithlessness that would have followed. What feels like rejection in the present is sometimes the most profound form of acceptance by Allah, an acceptance that manifests in safeguarding her deen, dignity, and peace. There are also times when this protection comes in the form of guidance that seems almost instinctive. She may feel an unexplainable discomfort in certain environments, an inner resistance that keeps her from engaging with particular people or situations. This is not mere intuition. It is the hand of divine mercy guiding her away from what could harm her heart or soul. She does not always have proof, yet her conscience feels the warning, and when she listens to it, she walks away untouched by the harm that could have been. Even in physical matters, Allah's protection surrounds her in ways she does not witness. The journey she delayed by a few minutes, the road she decided not to take, the illness she never caught despite exposure, all these are shields placed between her and harm. Angels, by the command of Allah, guard her steps, deflecting what she was never meant to face. Many of her greatest blessings are the tragedies she never knew happened, the losses she never had to mourn, and the dangers she never had to endure. This protection also extends to her faith. While others may be drawn into doubts or influences that shake their belief, she finds herself safeguarded by a strong sense of conviction. Allah closes the doors that would lead her astray, even if those doors are covered in beauty and temptation. This unseen preservation of her heart is a favor beyond measure, for it keeps her anchored to Him when the currents of life try to pull her away. When trials come into her life, she does not see them as random misfortunes or cruel punishments. She understands that every test carries within it a message, a purpose, and a pathway back to Allah. While others may question why hardship has arrived, she reflects on how it can refine her, purify her, and remind her of her dependence on the One who controls all affairs. In moments of difficulty, she feels her prayers become deeper, her tears more sincere, and her connection with Allah stronger than in times of ease. The pain of the test pushes her into sujood for longer than usual, her heart pouring out in a way it never does when life feels effortless. She comes to realize that these trials are not meant to destroy her, but to draw her nearer to the One who loves her enough to guide her through them. In hardship, distractions lose their grip. The things that once seemed important begin to fade, and the only thing that matters is the bond between her and her Lord. A calamity strips away the illusion that she has control, and it forces her to see how powerless she is without Allah's help. This realization is not one of despair, but of liberation, for she learns that she does not have to carry the weight of the world on her own shoulders. Every sigh, every restless night, every moment of uncertainty becomes a prayer in disguise. She starts to see her problems as invitations to sit in the presence of her Creator, to seek His help, and to witness His mercy in action. There is a sweetness hidden in these moments of trial that can never be tasted in times of comfort. The tears shed in private, the whispered pleas in the dark, the trembling of the heart as she begs for relief. These are moments where the soul feels its purest connection to Allah. She finds that even if the situation does not change immediately, she has already been given something greater, a renewed sense of closeness to him, and that closeness is the real victory, far beyond the removal of the hardship itself. Sometimes the test is prolonged, stretching her patience and faith to their limits. Yet with every passing day she discovers that she is stronger than she thought, not because of her own power, but because Allah is carrying her through. She may ask for a particular person to stay in her life, only to be guided toward relationships that offer her more genuine love, stability, and support. These moments remind her that Allah sees the full picture, while she only sees a fragment. What she perceives as loss can actually be the unfolding of a greater gift. She comes to understand that answered dua is not always about changing her external circumstances. Sometimes it is about changing her heart. She might pray for a problem to be removed, and instead, Allah gives her the strength to endure it with grace. She might ask for wealth, and instead, He grants her contentment that makes her feel richer than she ever imagined. She might seek victory over a hardship, and instead He grants her wisdom that turns the hardship into a stepping stone. Each of these is an answer, just not always in the language she expected. Over time, she begins to welcome the unpredictability of how her prayers are answered, because it frees her from the illusion of control. She no longer measures the acceptance of her dua by how closely reality matches her request, but by how deeply it aligns with what her soul truly needs. She trusts that whatever form the answer takes, it has been designed by the one who knows her better than she knows herself, and that realization fills her with gratitude before the outcome even arrives.